Welcome to Beginner's Guide to Hiking Barefoot in the snow. What are we like? How high do you think we are right now?
Probably around
8,000 feet up. It snowed a lot recently in Colorado. And it's my first winter doing a full sort of barefoot experience. Now, I found that if it gets really cold, putting on wool socks is actually great because you still feel grounded, but you get a little warmth, and the wool socks work surprisingly well. But on this hike, we're doing a 4-miler, and I thought I'd see how far I could go barefoot. And so far, so good. Feeling pretty good. Look at those feet. Looking good. Still, the toes feel a tiny bit stiff. We're probably, I don't know, half hour in or something. But yeah, it's actually surprisingly not bad. What I find is at first, kind of like if you ever do any stuff where you're like jumping in, cold plunging and that kind of stuff. At first, it's definitely like, ooh. But over time, you settle in, you start moving, the blood starts flowing, and pain starts to shift. Now, first caveat, always be careful with any barefoot situation. Even though being barefoot is the natural way, we live in a modern world, and most of our feet, they're like little seedlings, and when they come out of their shell, if they've been protected for so long in shoes, even if the shoes are actually not protected but more so damaging, you have to go slow. In general, with anything barefoot, you want to start really slow, know your limits, try not to test them too far. So be cautious, be careful, be smart. What I find is I like to start small. So like in the case of the barefoot snow stuff, and first off, I mean, how beautiful is this? Wow. But in the case of the barefoot snow stuff, is like do little increments, do a few minutes, carry your shoes or carry some wool socks or whatever you need, do a few increments, see how you feel. Let's put shoes on or socks as you go, and you slowly build yourself into this experience. I've noticed most people we've walked by have those like grip things on their shoes. And Oz was asking me about what is the grip like. And there was a moment of slippiness, but for the most part, I felt actually really secure to the ground. And that's why, for me, being barefoot, even though there's things involved and it takes time and you have to condition yourself, the benefits pretty much always seem to outweigh the cons. So yes, it's trial by fire. Even I did that barefoot hike. It was 10 degrees. So right now it's probably 28. We went for a hike. It was like 5 or 10 degrees out a few days ago. It was really cold, and I was in wool socks, and the snow was somewhat deep. And I found that by the end, I felt great for a while. We'd like an hour and a half or something, it felt like. And by the end, I was pretty cold. And I noticed a little bit of burning, almost like a little bit of like a cut if you'd like cut yourself or something on one of my toes. Not bad, but everything else is fine. I did notice that. So I was doing some research on like gangrene, frostbite, and your toes can turn black and basically die and fall off. But there's superficial frostbite that happens way before that, where it's more like blistering and some burning. So again, there's no rule book for this stuff. You just have to know yourself, take your time. I've definitely seen people that have run half marathons on ice before. So it's not to say it's not possible. But what I'm noticing now, like I said, is first maybe 10, 15 minutes, I kept thinking, okay, I'm gonna put my wool sock back on. This is the time, it's getting pretty cold. And I'm always checking with my toes. I'm always like kind of like looking at my feet, sort of scrunching my toes, seeing if I feel like I have feeling. As Barefoot Ted says, a numb foot is a dumb foot. But what I'm noticing now, fairly far into our hike, is that my feet feel actually really good. They don't even feel cold. They feel, like I said, a little stiff, but they've kind of adjusted. So I feel like you can tell if you're going in a bad direction, and if that's the case, as long as you're mindful and present and aware, well then either it's time to go or put something on. But your body will tell you. The more you tune into it, the more you know. That's why if you start small, you work your way up. Over time, you can be doing this thing. So pretty. Anyhow, greetings from Colorado. If you like the video, I have other videos about all kinds of barefoot stuff.